you. Xbox is my favourite console, I promise that it's true. I know I tweet about PlayStation whilst I have nothing for you, but it just makes me charming because I'm a gamer too. Dear Xbox gamers, we've got some good news. Another 10-year deal to make your console less used. Sure, we delay games and release them incomplete, but 30 frames is plenty, so just calm down a little a bit. Xbox gamers, don't be so cruel. Xbox, we love you, and the console too. Dear Xbox gamers, we're all inclusive, now it's true. Play your games together, just an extra charge for you. Sure, we delay games and release them incomplete, but 30 frames is plenty, so just calm down a little love. Sure, we delay games and release them incomplete, but 30 frames is plenty, so just calm down a little love.
Good morning to you, good morning to you. This will be a very special day.
Good morning, Internet. Redfall is releasing at 30 frames per second. Yes, the most powerful console in the world is struggling to get a game using the Unreal 4 engine running at 60 frames per second. Now, why is this a big deal, and what is the bigger messaging around this? After all, and it's been desperately pointed out, Zelda, future Game of the Year winner, will also be releasing at 30 frames per second, without even a hint of backlash. I know, life doesn't seem fair at times, does it? A third-person RPG releasing on a generation-old platform, using a mobile graphics chip with the equivalent power of your Xbox 360, getting accolades for its beauty whilst also running at 30 frames per second. Yet here you are with the most powerful console in the world, that was supposed to power your dreams, yet instead is powering your nightmares. Why the backlash for one and not the other? Let's start with expectations. Redfall is the first AAA Bethesda game released exclusive to Xbox, delayed a year and throughout the year shown running at 60 frames per second. Zelda was not. Redfall is an online focus game where first-person shooting is the main gameplay mechanic. Zelda is not. Redfall, having had a year delay, is still releasing incomplete. Zelda is not. The only thing they have in common is these are the first games released by both Nintendo and Microsoft at the increased price point of $70. Quality, however, is not something they have in common. So though the urge may be there to cry hypocrisy and bias, one should remember, you're an idiot. Now, expectations are a tricky thing. They need to be measured. Different genres carry different expectations. Should the expectation be there that the likes of Starfield and Hellblade 2 be released at 60 frames per second? Maybe. But we should measure those expectations against what's been previously shown. In the case of Starfield, we've only seen 30 frames per second. Then we should look at the advantages a game's taking from the hardware and the pacing of the gameplay. 60 frames per second is always going to be preferred, but let us not kid ourselves that some genres benefit from it more than others, such as racing and FPS games. Will there be backlash if Hellblade 2 is 30 FPS? Will your friendly neighborhood fanboy jump on it and downplay the achievement of it? Absolutely. But rational minds will look at the trade-off and understand where those 30 frames went. And the slow-paced nature of the game will have less impact on you feeling shortchanged in where they were spent. This, unfortunately, is not the case for Redfall. Arcane Studios have always favoured a particular art style, and one that's often complemented their games. But nothing about Redfall screams the Xbox console shouldn't be able to do 60 frames per second. And the fact is, a patch is coming later to prove the hardware's capable, which leads to the main issue, and why the backlash is more than warranted. This is yet another game getting released unfinished. The series consoles have been on the market for years now, And in that time, they've had 2 AAA exclusives. One of those being Halo Infinite, which also saw a year's delay and also released unfinished regardless of that delay. There is a problem at Microsoft. The fact is, Microsoft gave up last gen, but then remembered why they got into the console market, it was to ensure Microsoft was part of everybody's entertainment center. Trouble is, they had now lost too much ground. They gave away their biggest asset in the Call of Duty marketing, and had barely any studios of their own to allow them to compete. They also came back not wanting to be restrained by the console. They want Xbox to be an app. For that you need games and consistent releases. So off they went out spending, neglecting how long it takes to make games and importantly nurture studios. 4 generations in and they still don't understand the gaming market, so they buy publishers now who do. Unfortunately, they also fail to understand publishers survive off hits, and when they've already got the bag, there's less incentive to push harder for those hits to release within a certain window. And with Microsoft being so hands-off, they've been slow to realize they need to manage those publishers too. It's not the flawless shortcut they thought. They want Game Pass on every device, and desperately want it on PlayStation. Yes, PlayStation. For that they need consistent releases, but so far due to their hands-off approach, the only thing that's been consistent about their games has been delays. So to fix this, they're buying more publishers, rather than nurturing the studios they have. Ultimately, this has to result in released games. But all this is in the benefit of the subscription growth, not the gamer. Of course, one could argue, and you do, that it is for the benefit of the gamer as they get more value from the sub. But the value is only there if the quality is there. With the release of Redfall, a £70 game relying on the crutch of Game Pass to have a value over quality, we're starting to see a new precedent in Xbox releasing unfinished games. But what they're not seeming to understand in their need to fill out a Game Pass month to secure subscribers, subscription services come with different rules. The harshest one for Microsoft to learn, that if they don't get these games right day one, games on subs rarely get a second chance. So Microsoft are stuck between a rock and a hard place. To get subscribers, they need content. To keep subscribers, they need quality games. The answer is a simple one. Microsoft needs to stop rushing. They need to learn to walk before they can run, and focus more on the core. The core is putting a team together that is capable of nurturing the studios they already have, as well as put more focus on the console. Game Pass subs on console are stagnated. Part of this is due to Game Pass's reach being on every device outside of the console, but also the lack of Microsoft acknowledging the console itself, the reluctance to even sell it you. The only public marketing Xbox has had in over 5 years made sure not to even mention the existence of the console. Game Pass is the Xbox platform today. Everything else is just a vessel used to get you into that. The trouble is with subscription services is that they're fickle. By nature, they're designed for you to drop in and out at any given month. Whereas console locks you into an ecosystem. Whilst one is clearly more consumer friendly than the other, you're more likely to keep those subscribers that are locked in an ecosystem than you are from, say, mobile. People forget that Xbox has another subscription service outside of Game Pass, called Xbox Gold. The only value of this subscription service is to unlock content from the disc from games you've already paid for to be able to play with people who are playing those same games without the need of the subscription. Yet 6 years of Game Pass, the best value in gaming, and Gold is still tens of millions more subscribers than Game Pass on console and PC combined. Do not neglect the console. You're still a few steps away from ever getting on PlayStation. In other news, Microsoft are running ads for its Activision Blizzard acquisition on the Tube in London. None of them show the Xbox console. PC Game Pass is now available in 40 new countries, while Eagle Eye viewers once again spot Project Keystone. Microsoft placed 9 Bethesda games onto PS Plus, adding more value to PlayStation's subscription service, which was nice of them. Ubisoft Plus launches on Xbox, forcing you to pay the most expensive multi-access plan, costing $18 a month. And Suicide Squad has been delayed again till 2024. Now here's Raccoon. Twittery corner.
This week on Twittery Corner, we're going to go through some of the reactions on this tweet. Well, let's see what this little cherub had to say. How the fuck 12 teraflop console can't run Redfall at 60 frames per second? The game looks like a PS3 360 game, lol. 60 frames per second game versus 30 frames per second game. Yeah, it's quite a difference. For real, man, I would immediately sell my PS5 if it performed this badly, because 12 teraflops means shit. What's going on in that Redfall picture? Laughing emoji. Whatever you say, man. Laughing emojis. Can't believe a next-gen console is struggling to hit 60 frames per second in Redfall. It's time to step up the game and leave the PS3 360 graphics in the past. See my homepage, please. Okay. Because Microsoft doesn't self-invest in their own products. They don't double down. They just let studios create without proper oversight or management. The whole image is happy corp image, with no accountability of their software. I just wish they would do better. Xbox is trash, plain and simple, because the game sucks. Well, it is a vampire game. Zero Dawn and Forbidden West are smaller, and use more cordons to keep rendered objects low. Plus they aren't actually truly open worlds anyway. Redfall 30 FPS on next gen is understandable, to be honest. It does use Unreal Engine 5. It uses Unreal Engine 4. Redfall looks awful. This is a development issue, not hardware. The PS5 and Series X aren't that different. They're both capable of machines that can handle frame rate over resolution, or resolution over frame rate. Well, that's any machine. Come on, man, let them compete. I'm guessing the competition is going to start for them in 2030. You compare an ally standing in the field with nothing going on, well in photo mode, which enhances in-game models, to a split-second action scene of a vampire in mid-exploding animation. Please wait for the new tools. Seriously disappointed in a 12 teraflop console. Can't believe it can't handle Redfall at 60 frames per second. Looks like a last-gen game compared to the smooth 60 frames per second ones. Wake up, developers. Click my profile, please. Okay. And that's where we'll leave it this week. This has been Twittery Corner.
This generation is going to be a bigger leap than any generation we've done before.
At the heart of our next generation console is our custom design processor, leveraging the latest Zen 2 and Navi technology from our partners at AMD. From a pure processing perspective, this is 4 times more powerful than the Xbox One X. We're leveraging high bandwidth GDDR6 to ensure that we're getting the best performance possible.
It's going to usher in resolution and frame rates that we've never seen before. Like, never seen before.
We're looking at frame rates up to 120 frames per second.
8K capability.
Variable refresh rate.
Next-gen ray tracing. It's real time because it's hardware accelerated for the first time ever.